Now, it is Andy B on the Get You Home show. Today, 26th of March, 2026, it marks a very special date. I was sharing this with you before 5 because today marks the 100th conversation on sensory health with my friend now of at least 2.5 years, Anne Jackson. Hello, Anne.
Woohoo! Hello.
No. This is exciting. Do you remember when I first emailed you and said, hi, you don't know who I am, really, but hey, do you fancy talking about sensory health?
It's a vague, distant memory, which is just so lovely to think where we've come from in that time. And it's still, I can't believe it's been about, just over 2.5 years. I mean, that's the mad thing about it. And a lot of life has been lived in that time. And it's just been so beautiful to come and just chat with you every week and say, where are we at? Where are we going? What can help people this week? What will be a blessing? What will challenge? What will make people think about their lives and how to live life abundantly for the next day or two or a week or two? Yeah.
I love the fact that as I was going through this with Peter, he was going through all of our YouTube vids and he was writing down the topics that we've covered. What do we talk about? And we haven't got them all here, okay? Because we've got 100 sessions and I've got maybe 20 in front of me. So he's done a pretty good job. He just went back so far. But I love the fact that, and I keep on saying this, and I've said this from the very beginning, we don't just talk about a child with ADHD who has sensory healthy issues, which I think for so many people is kind of the stereotypical generalized, well, that's what sensory healthy looks like when it's gone wrong. But as we will evolve today's session, we will see it's such a massively varied thing.
It is. And that's where it's constantly inspiring me. It's constantly something for me to be passionate about because it always, there's always something new to think about. There's always something new to focus on or to dig deeper in, for sure. Mm-hmm.
There really, really is. So let me just take the first one. These are not in any particular order, by the way. It's the way they came up on the search you did. Magazines and sensory health.
Okay.
Because we talked about the smell of the magazine, the sound as you turn the page, the texture and feel, the fact you can have a glossy print or a silky print, which is going to feel different in your hands, the tactile interface device we humbly call the magazine.
We humbly call the magazine. There is so much to it. And then there was the extra of where do you actually read the magazine? It's not just something that looks nice. It's not just a sensory experience in itself, but where are you sitting? How are you sitting? What's your temperature? What are you drinking at the same time? If you've got things on in the background, it's the whole experience, the whole sensory experience of enjoying, just savoring the moment of sitting down with a magazine, which most of us don't do now. It's almost as if that's become a luxury because we're always on our phones. There's just that little bit something, a little bit extra, je ne sais quoi, for having an actual magazine in your hand.
The thing is, we think, I'll buy a coffee. I'll go to the local coffee place. I'll buy a coffee. You spend, I don't know, 6-8 quid, maybe get yourself a little cake. Now you're up to sort of 12 to 14 quid. You can buy one of our magazines. Unashamed plug, puremediathemagazine.com. £6.50 for something you can hold in your hands. You can read it in the garden. You can read it in the bath. You can read it on the settee. You can read it on a sheepskin rug in front of a roaring fire. You can read it in a valley. You can read it in a mountain. You can take it everywhere, and your sensory healthy experience will be different each time.
Beautifully plugged. I love that. Well done.
Got to be done. Okay, trampolines. We talked about trampolines.
My favorite.
Oh, yeah. So I know where we've been, but my immediate thought for somebody else listening is, what's that got to do with sensory health? How can a trampoline possibly have any connection with sensory health?
Oh boy, between that and swings, absolutely my favorite. I think the trampoline is the easiest. And so what has it to do with sensory health? Let's start there. Good question. One of the most powerful organizing, regulating, what I mean by regulating, also if somebody's kind of going to lose it, emotionally, it's not PC, they're just massively on the go, they're going to have a meltdown, or they're just kind of clumsy and just life isn't great for them. What a trampoline is one of the most loveliest things because it gives good sensory input in the best ways possible. with a little bit of a caveat on that. But when you are bouncing up and down, you are sending masses of input through your joints as they compact against each other. And of course, there's a lot of muscle work involved in just being able to jump and move. So that muscle work and that proprioceptive input, which comes from muscles and joints, that connectivity is really regulating, really helps calm the nervous system down and integrates it so that you're then over time becoming more confident and less clumsy because you're more coordinated. So, and you get the up and down, which is the vestibular system, which is where your head moves in space. And the trampoline is your head can move anywhere as you bounce around the place. And that's the caveat. Sometimes it can be just a bit too dysregulating. Having erratic head movements can be a little bit kind of like just a bit too much and not helpful. But for a lot of people, it is helpful. And one of my biggest breakthroughs actually was the trampoline. For people starting to get what I was talking about. And it was a mum. Are you happy that I chat away and give you another story? Yeah, so this is a mum. She was feeling a bit guilty because he would come home from school and spend an hour on the trampoline, and she would call him off because of the guilt factor, thinking, oh, crumbs, he's not really doing anything. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't think he should be doing that for too long. So I gave her permission to allow him to jump for as long as he wanted to, because I wanted to see how much his tank of sensory needs needed filled up with the input that I know that trampoline gives. And he went on for 3 hours, and it was phenomenal. Like the mum was like, and it's just like, no, let him. But she said, what was life changing was he came back and he sat down. He was a pacer. He was always pacing around the house, and he never had a full night's sleep. So that night was her hallelujah moment. She had a full night's sleep for the first time in her life, and he was about 8 or 9. I mean, this was like a long, a long thing. Long-term thing that she'd been dealing with. So she got it, obviously. She says, I get it now. And it's just like, yes, we need to make sure that we give the intensity that some of these bodies need, and we need to fill it with the right kind of sensory input. And then we get what we want. We get a full night's sleep. We get a settled individual. We get a settled child. And yeah, so trampoline is definitely one of my go-tos, and my first one because it's easier than some of the other things that I love to.
Two things. One, I remember last year, you went with one of your sons to a trampoline park.
I did. I wanted to go. It was like, right, this is what I'm going to do. And he came with me because actually he was all right. He was fine. But it was something that I wanted to experience. And I just needed a play. I needed to just have a complete, I was going through just freedom. I just needed that sense of freedom. And I didn't want to do it on my own. So yeah, one of my sons came with me. It's great.
I love that one. Trampolines, I mean, a little bit of caution, be careful, make sure it's safely in the ground, all that sort of stuff. But it does go to show that if you actually work with a child, you can actually help them. We've all often said, okay, stereotypes, generalizations, but we always end up going there because it's hard not to. But one of the classic stereotypes is the 12-year-old boy in a classroom on a hot day. It's history. They don't care. They're not interested. They can't sit still. Obviously, the assumption is they're misbehaving. They're badly behaving. They're rude. But actually, they just want to go and play outside and play football because they want to run around, because sitting still for an hour while someone drones about something they have no care about, it's not they're being bad. They just don't have the ability to sit still.
Yeah, I have to tell you this one though, because I mentor other occupational therapists around the world, and so this lady came in, and she's working in a college with students, and one of her students had somehow got through secondary school. Goodness me, I don't know how, but was in this college, but was so disruptive in the class. So we looked at his sensory thumbprint, which is my version of saying what's their profile, what's their preferences, what are the patterns that they're showing, and his vestibular system was coming out really strongly, as well as his proprioceptive system that I felt it was important to feed into it. So I said, look, would the college have a budget to get a rowing machine in the class? And she looked at me and she said, I'll ask. So she fed back this week that they have a rowing machine. They said it's absolutely brilliant. No one is distracted in the class with a rowing machine, and he just gets off. He goes and has a row at the back of the class, and then comes back. He says he sits there for 45 minutes after he's been on his rowing machine in the class. And they're all like, what has just happened? And I'm like, yes, thank you, Lord. That was just brilliant. You know, I'm not the OT doing it, but I just had that little sense of satisfaction that I was able to help her join the dots so that she could implement something in a college that's not normal, that they didn't have, but they're all really happy with it, those in the class. And obviously, you know, the chap himself and the teacher, the lecturer, whatever they're called in kind of like higher education. They're just, it's just a happy place. So I was very pleased.
And if they're really sensible as a college, they will then hook that up to a thing that will actually start to get the electricity to pay for the school. Dynamo.
There we go, designing yet again, the two of us, for slightly different reasons this time, but I like the economy of that one.
That's where my brain goes. Christmas and New Year's is one we've touched on a few times.
Yeah, they're just so hard. And I think actually we'll probably need, if we have the energy to do it, we probably need to do it every single year. And there's always something we can bring out of it, always a different. They're just hard times of the year. Parties, weddings, Christmas celebrations. It's tough, really tough for our sensory overreactive people. Our sensory seekers and our sensory under-responsive ones probably quite enjoy it. But those who, it's a bit too much for some people and not helpful and not healthy.
Unlike, I don't know, an anniversary or birthday, which is very special to perhaps one or maybe two people on an anniversary, Christmas and New Year's, it's set in stone. It's in everybody's calendar. Every single year you do it. You can't escape it. So all the people who are getting really, really excited about it, or really, really stressed about it, they can't avoid it because it's everywhere. I'm kind of glad Christmas is, by the way, as a Christian. But it's one of those dates where, unlike a birthday where it's just one person who's probably getting really excited, everybody around you is in that same space of it builds up and we build up to it. And either it's really exciting or it's really not, depending on your perspective, your age, your situation, your circumstance. But we can't avoid it, which is why I suspect we keep coming back to it, because there are so many diverse elements of Christmas and New Year's celebrations that are quite unique. It's not just a party. It's not just a date. These are monumentally huge and epic moments in the year that the entire globe virtually celebrates one way or another. And that's why I don't think we're ever going to run out of talking about it.
No. And it's vitally important because you can't, you really can't get away from it for almost 3 months of the year, almost, never mind about just December. But the build up to it all and how you manage it. And you actually do need to start preparing in September if you're going to have as good a Christmas as you possibly can do.
Right. Hotels. Which we looked at. I've been in a few hotels. I know you've traveled to hotels as well sometimes. That was interesting because hotels, it's one of those, we're going to a hotel, how exciting, which it can be if it's a holiday. I do that on business every so often. It's less exciting because you miss your bed, you miss your toilet, you miss your own home. There's noises you can do nothing about. One hotel I was at with Nathan, the end of last year, 2025, there were people in the hotel who seemed to have a desire to make as much noise banging doors, running up and down the corridor with unruly children. So any of the joyfulness gone. But it can be a great experience. It can be a really bad one.
It can, and it's hard. And again, it's that control of what can you control and what can't you control, and the thought processes that need to go into that. I like something actually that happened this year. I'm not sure if we talked about that. The fact that you can actually choose your hotel room. That was a new one for me. And I thought, that's quite interesting. Obviously I then had to go online and work out where things were in the hotel and what does it mean and where does it look onto or out to. And in the end, I didn't bother. I just thought, actually, it really doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me. But I liked the concept and I thought, well done. That's a good move.
I guess if you've been to that hotel and you were especially happy with the room, the position, whether it's higher or lower in the hotel, or perhaps the view was one that you quite like because it was a brick wall that everybody hates, but you think, yeah, but no one can look in the rooms, so I'm happy. Depending on your perspective, actually, I can understand how that could be a good thing. But if you don't know the hotel, honestly, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I just thought. I thought, oh, I like the idea, but yeah, it really wasn't. It wasn't going to give me anything extra. Maybe if it had a sea view, but then you normally, they tell you, you can see that right from the very beginning if you've got a sea view or if you haven't.
Here's one I remember quite well. We tried to do a thing on pens and pencils, and we ended up designing the end of the pen that you hold with all different colors and textures. That was a good fun, that one.
Oh, it's just nice. We all need a bit of fun sometimes. I can't remember any of it. That's the one thing. I'm the best person to tell a secret to because, my memory's like a sieve, so it's absolutely super. But what are you fishing out?
I've got a pen. Okay, it's a very boring pen. All right, big bio. That's fine. You know what it is. But we talked about this. How I quite like my pens. I've got a squishy end. And that for me is quite nice. When I'm writing on a piece of paper, I can squish the end of the pen. It's quite nice. It's got little ridges on it. And we said, hey, we could have either ridges or little circle shapes. You can have different colors. So you end up putting the pen that's the writing part into the bit you hold, screw it in, and then you got yourself your bespoke pen. If you've got left-handed or right-handed, you can left and right-handed pens, depending on which way you're holding. There is such a thing. I'm not going to make a joke about left-handed screwdrivers, but anyway. But we had some fun with that one because we talked about the differences, and even the smells of the ink are different. Fountain pen's much stronger because it's much more liquidy, whereas something like a big biro, you don't really smell the ink quite so much. So yeah, we had good fun with that.
Yeah, it's great. Just thinking, recently I've connected with a school in the Netherlands and, chatting with them and explaining certain things. And they were telling me that they're working with a left-hander at the moment. And she said, oh, do you know just what you said about changing the orientation of the paper because they're left-handed? She said that was amazing. So we've drawn a line on the table and we now make sure that, he orientates his paper according to what works better for him because he's left-handed. So it's just like, oh, thank you. And it's nice to be global too.
Some of the simplest things just make such a difference. What else? I'm not going to read them all. Brand new parenting is one we did. That was good fun because you've then got sleep exhaustion. You've got the I'm trying to think the terror of children who exhaust you. This is like a form of torture in certain countries, being sleep deprived. And we have a child, the baby comes along, we're sleep deprived, and somehow we seem to think that we're supposed to function as we did a week ago when we were getting 8 hours of sleep a night rather than 2 minutes at a time.
Sorry. Oh, I don't mean to laugh, but it just takes me back. It's like, oh, yes. How we need to be kind and gentle with each other over that time, as well as what an assault it can be, especially for some of the mums who are tactile overreactive. So having a baby close to their skin, that there's ways and means we really need to help the parents to be able to bond and to feed. Lots involved in new parenting.
We've talked about banking, which was very similar to the shopping conversation we had about how we are now being forced to interact. If you're older, you have to have a phone, you have to have an app, you have to have a text number, you have to get a one-time password, and it's very, very confusing. I'm not that old. I am technologically savvy. I run a digital radio station, but I still get annoyed by it because there's an awful lot of processes just to look at my own money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then we looked at shopping as well. That's an assault on the senses. I'm not going to mention the supermarket brands. There is one supermarket brand in the UK. I hate going there because they refuse, because I've asked them several times, please, can you turn down the beep? Oh, no, we can't do that. Yes, but it's so, I genuinely got a headache one day from the loudness of the beeping. And there's another supermarket, which everyone thinks is more at brand, but really isn't. And they have more gentle, soft tones. So when you scan your own thing, you're not being deafened. It's a small thing.
A small thing, but huge. Tell me. Yeah. Really good.
Okay. Camping.
Yes, I do remember that one. I think because actually the memories are more and more about the negatives of the sensory experiences of camping for me, and therefore the memory is well embedded. And that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Like memory and sensory processing. The senses are so powerful, connecting memories together, both for good and for not good. So it's how we can use, in especially with some of our those who've had a fair amount of trauma in their lives, how we can use the senses for positive and be aware of it, to try and protect them from being triggered by things that are not going to be so helpful for them. But yeah, goodness, we are covering a lot, aren't we?
I have probably less than a quarter of the sessions that we've done on this piece of paper.
Wow.
Another one for you. Weddings.
Yes.
Emotional, so much joy, so much odd emotions of loss because things are changing. You don't even have to, not like the other family. You're losing something, and there's joy. And when the joy and the sadness and all that emotion gets rammed together, throw in a few drinks of alcohol and a bit of tiredness, and all of a sudden you've got issues.
And you've got to be wearing different clothes, and that's the one of the biggest issues, apart from the normal celebration stuff that's difficult for my sensory folk to deal with. It's the difference in clothes that's then expected. It's just like, what are we going to wear? How are we going to wear it? How short a time can we wear this blinking dress for when I can't find a soft enough dress, or I've got to wear the bridesmaid's dress, or even the bride is saying, what am I going to wear? Like all of this stuff, it really irritates my skin. And it's like, yeah, I get that. So what can we do? How can we do it? And because we want it, it is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing, but just hard in its own way too.
You won't be surprised. Wearing a dress is not my particular issue. I haven't got a problem with that one.
Doing up a tie, put it that way.
I'm in a t-shirt, hoodie, and combats with boots on. That's my go-to everyday wear. I've got to do a press thing next week, and I did actually email and say, is there a dress code? Because I have two options: t-shirt and hoodie, or black tie. Which one is it? Because I don't have anything in the middle. Oh, there's no dress code. Don't worry. Which made me very, very happy. So I'll be wearing this next week. Comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Right, let's go on to some other stuff. Here's one for you. Good sensory health for tired eyes. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, there was something about how we can protect our eyes through the process, which is interesting because I've just been to an optician today, just to go and have a look and see, get a good checkup and see what's going on. So yeah, it is so important. I think, eye masks and giving time for the eye, especially when we're so screen orientated, giving them eye breaks. It's not just the physical removal from the screen, but also then to be able to rest, and how pressure can really help eyes. And when you need a break, it's really nice. You can close your eyes, put your palms into your hands, just for a few seconds. You might get some kind of funny flashing things, but it's quite refreshing for your eyes too. And your eye muscles, because you've got 6 muscles around your eyes, and they can get tired, especially if you're doing an awful lot. If your head stays still and you have to move your eyes all over the place, that's the tracking involved, and that's the muscles. And another test, actually, you could do this if not if anybody's listening, but while you're listening, hold a pen out in front of you. And what we want this time, this is called the vestibular ocular reflex. So you want to keep your eyes on the top of the pen, but move your head instead. So if you can do that, we're all good. If you can't, get in touch. Because we need to help you there. So that's the vestibular ocular reflex, which is different to tracking, because tracking is that you follow your eyes and your head stays still, but your eyes move. And that's your eye muscles, which is different to the vestibular ocular reflex, which is where your eyes stay still, but your head moves.
Because if you're tired after a long day, you might be able to put your feet up on a footstool or something. You can't take your eyes out and rest them. So we need to find other ways of doing effectively the same thing.
Yeah. I was just imagining what that looked like. Imagine being able to take your eyes out and put them on the side, give them a rest. Yeah.
Ooh, touch and hugs.
Oh,
Big one in churches. There's a joke around churches about the reason why people join the worship leading the music team in a church is so they haven't got to greet anybody because they're already at church and people leave them alone. And you kind of laugh and then you think, yeah, but how many of them actually are in church perhaps thinking, well, I don't want to go to church this week because I've had enough of people. If I could just go to church and sing some songs and listen to the sermon, that'd be great. But I know when I get there, that one person won't let me get past without a big hug. And I really don't like hugs and I don't want to offend them. So how do I deal with all that stuff? Do you end up not going? And it doesn't have to be church. It could be someone in the office. Perhaps your college or school, who's the same. I had some guys who used to, a bit too physical, I guess, and they kind of not hug you in a nice way. They'd hug you to try and hurt you, or hold your hand to hurt you. It wasn't anything nice, but then you try and avoid them because it's not very fun. So, we talked about touch and hugs and the importance of respecting other people.
Yeah. And the importance then of the communication alongside all of that. But yeah, hugs are one of our sensory positives normally with that deep touch pressure, one of our treatment techniques, that it's lovely to be able to get some deep touch into your system for loads of different reasons, but not everybody will appreciate it for sure. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who do not, especially if it's unexpected or unwelcome or not planned. And the importance of communicating that is utterly vital.
It really is, because you don't want to be rude. Go away. I don't want to hug you, because that's a bit rude. But there are things. You see, if it's a dog, we used to put our knee up against the dog, so if it was trying to jump, it wouldn't jump and it would stop. But you can't quite do that to a person, especially to a man, because it might hurt them quite badly.
Yes.
Just a warning. Right. Moving house. How straining is that on the emotions and the sensory healthy stuff?
Yeah. How long ago was that for you now, the last one?
It was May 2 years ago.
Was it?
Still too close.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, so much involved in moving house. Goodness me. And no wonder it's one of the most, it's in definitely top 3, top 5 of the most stressful events that there can be. It's just, oh goodness me, sensory wise, it's full on an overload. There's no comfort. There's no, everything changes. Everything changes in a house move.
And I know there's some friends of mine who moved house recently, and the house wasn't really in the condition it should have been. So I was sort of feeling the strain of them trying to move in on this potentially exciting day and the frustration. But one of the things that you and I have talked about is memory. I mean, memory of muscles and stuff. So like, I know if it's dark, I can go around my bedroom. I know where the bed is. I know where the leg of the bed is. I know roughly where the door is. So from memory, I can get up in almost pitch black. And it's fully dark, I'm probably going to fall over. But as long as there's a tiniest bit of light, I can actually navigate quite successfully. Or I put my hands out in those ways. But of course, you move house, and now you don't know how many steps there are. We've been in houses with different size steps. So you end up stumbling up the stairs and thinking, what have I done wrong? But you're used to a different size step. And so there's all these things, especially the memory, which is such a powerful sort of combining of memory and physical stuff. To the where the floor is and the handrail, and it's a different size handrail, and hang on, the toilet door opens on the wrong side, and who put that light switch over there? All the stuff that we are comforted by in our own homes, where we need to feel most secure, is gone.
Yeah. And I think it's the fact that our home is our place of security. That's why the children, when they come home from school, they're a nightmare, because they can finally be themselves. They need to what, people call it letting off steam, but they need to regulate their nervous systems, which is what they're doing. But it's because they can do it in a safe space. They weren't able to do that, unfortunately, a lot of them in the school environment. So it all comes out. It all comes out at home, but that's because it is the safe space. So if anybody's wondering, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? It's not. You are doing absolutely everything right, because your home is the safe space. And that's where folks are relaxed to be able to be who they need to be. But when the home changes, if you're moving house, that's really tough, because all of that security, all of that comfort, all of that, I know where things are. I don't have to think. That's the thing. There's so many, when things are new, when sensory experiences are different, there's so much more brain power needed to process the very simple things of going upstairs, of going to the toilet at night. Where do I, it's just so so much is unknown, and the brain needs to learn all of this stuff all over again. And it does take its toll on brain function and on our energy levels, on our sustainability, on our kindness to each other sometimes, and on our emotions. So it's a tough thing. It's a good thing though. Yeah.
And let me finish here, because this is the one topic that in our office, at least, it always comes up. Oh, are you going to talk about that again? Because that was really good fun. I think we talked about this particular topic maybe 18 or even 20 months ago. It's a long time ago. And it always comes up every time I'm coming up to my show. Are you going to talk about that again today? Car and truck cab design.
I can't believe I couldn't work out what that was. I was thinking, what is it?
Which was brilliant fun, because I'm a trucker, you're a driver, sensory health, occupational therapy, radio DJ, and yet we spent quite a lot of time and effort actually redesigning either the interior of your car, or specifically in that particular session I'm thinking of, we actually redesigned how a truck cab could work for the sensory healthy integration of the truck driver.
Crowning moment, 100th session, and there we are. What a one to finish on.
Well, I thought so. It's the one I get asked about by the office. Are you going to talk about that again today? Even though it's probably nearly 2 years ago that we did, because it just stuck out as, did I just hear Anne or Jackson and you talking about designing cabs for lorries? Yes, you did actually, yeah. I think it sums up something that we've been doing for two years plus, since September 23. We've scratched very faintly the surface of the topics that we've covered here. We have barely made an impact into the world around us in terms of the things we can talk about. We know that people have been helped. I have. I remember I was talking to you in our last house. I remember it vividly. You were talking to me about how to be less anxious about some heart surgery that I had in the future, and about other things where I was struggling. And so I know I've been helped. So thank you for that. And I know others have as well. In the office alone, comments are made. Oh, now I know I'm going to do that thing that Anne Laure Jackson said, because we're trying to not just, fill the airwaves with space, chat. Actually, we're trying to make a real difference. And I genuinely believe that we have, and we will.
Amen.
I don't know where we're going to go next week, what topics we're going to cover. All I know is we've only covered 100. And there's many, many more. That is just a small drop in the ocean. And thank you for so far being part of this, because you were my first regular guest back in September when we were brand new, thinking, anybody care? Anyone going to listen to us? We don't know. And now we know they do. And we've got you. It's great. So thank you for being part of this for so long. We've loved it. And we're loving where this is going, which is brilliant. So thank you for 100 of these amazing sessions. Anything you would like to say on the 100th chat on the sensory?
Only a thank you to you too, because this is something that I am passionate about, and I want to be able to help as many people as possible. And having some airspace, having some airwaves, and having just a lovely family at the end of it, the whole of the berry bunch, just part and parcel of what pure media is, from radio to your magazine to just everything that you're doing and how you're doing it. I just pray blessing over you for the next 100. Really, that's what it is.
It is. Thank you. We're going to get to some more music now. Thank you for all these. 100 is great. There's so many more topics. If you've got topics we have covered you want us to cover again, or perhaps topics you're thinking, how have they not talked about this yet? Well, I'll tell you how. Because there's so many things that we could talk about, and it's usually my brain has a little thought as Anne comes in. Yes, if you've got a topic you want to cover, let us know. Email hello@pure247radio.org. Hello@pure247radio.org. You can send your questions, your topics, or could you cover that topic again, please? That'd be really cool. Then let us know. That'd be great. Anne Laure Jackson of Santé on Jersey. Thank you if you want to connect with Anne. It's best thing, pure247radio.org. pure247radio.org/ALJ. And you can connect with Anne Laure Jackson and more.
Brilliant. Thank you. Till next time.